Welcome to Let's Learn.
So here's the second lesson, physical features of India. You are already l- So here is the second lesson, physical features of India. You have already learnt earlier that India is a vast country with varied landform. What kind of terrain do you live in? If you live in the plains, you are familiar with the vast stretches of the plainland. In contrast, if you live in the hilly region, the rugged terrain with the mountains and valleys are the common features. In fact, our country has practically all major physical features of the earth, that is mountain, plain, desert, plateau and island. The land of India displays great physical variation. Geologically, the Peninsula Plateau constitutes one of the ancient landmasses on the Earth's surface. It was supposed to be one of the most stable land blocks. The Himalayas and the plain that's northern plain are the most recent landform from the viewpoint of geology. The Himalayan mountains form an unstable zone. The whole Himalayan system represents a very youthful topography with high peaks, deep valleys, and fast flowing rivers. Northern plains are formed of alluvial deposits. Peninsula Plateau is composed of igneous and the metamorphic rocks with gently rising hills and wide valleys. Major physical divisions. The physical features of India can be grouped under the following physical divisions. So that's it: the Himalayan mountains, the northern plains, the Peninsula Plateau, the Indian desert, the coastal plain, the islands. First, the Himalayan mountains. The Himalayas, geologically young and structurally full mountains, stretch over the northern borders of India. These mountains run in the west-east direction from the Indus to Brahmaputra. The Himalayas represents the loftiest and one of the most rugged mountain barriers of the world. They form an arc which covers a distance of about 2,400 kilometers. Their width varies from 400 in Kashmir to 150 km in Arunachal Pradesh. The altitude variations are greatly in the eastern than that of the western half. The Himalayas consist of three parallel ranges in its longitudinal extent. A number of valleys lie between these ranges. The northernmost range is known as the Great or the Inner Himalayas or the Himadri. It is the most continuous range consisting of the loftiest peaks with an average height of 6,000 meters. It contains all prominent Himalayan peaks. So here's a map. Some of the highest peaks of the mountain. First it will be peaks, country and height in meters. Mount Everest in Nepal with a height of 8848. Kanchenjunga in Nepal with a height of 8598. Macau in Nepal with 8481. Dhaulagiri in Nepal with 8172. And Nanda Parbat in India with 8126 meter. And Annapurna in Nepal with height of 8078, Nanda Devi in India with a height of 7817, Kamat in India with height of 7756, Namcha Bawa in India with height of 7756, and Gaur Mandata in Nepal with height of 7728. The folds of greatest Himalayas are asymmetrical in nature. The core of the parts of Himalayas is consist of granite. It is perennially snowbound and a number of glaciers descending from this range. The range lying to the south of Himadri forms the most rugged mountain system and it is known as Himachal or Lesser Himalayas. The ranges are mainly composed of highly compressed and altered rocks. The altitude varies between 3,700 to 4,500 meters and average width of 50 kilometers, while the Pepanjal range forms the longest and the most important range. Dhaulagiri and Mahabharat ranges are also prominent one. The ranges consist of the famous Kashmir and Gangra and Kulu in Himachal Pradesh. This region is well known for the hill stations. The outermost range of Himalayas is called the Shivaliks. They extend over a width of 10 to 50 kilometers with an altitude varying between 900 to 1100 meters. These ranges are composed of unconsolidated sediments brought down by rivers from the main Himalayan ranges located farther north. These valleys are covered with thick gravel and alluvium. The longitudinal valley lying between the Lesser Himalaya and Shivaliks is known as Duns. Dehradun, Kotlidan, Patlidan are some of the well-known dunes. Besides the longitudinal divisions, the Himalayas have been divided on the basis of regions from west to east. These divisions have been demarcated by river valleys. For example, the part of Himalaya lying between the Indus and Satluj have been traditionally known as the Punjab Himalayas, but it is also known regionally as the Kashmir and Himachal Himalayas from the west to the east respectively. The part of Himalayas lying between Satluj and the Kali River is known as Kuman Himalayas. The Kali and Teesta demarcates the Nepal Himalayas, and the part lying between Teesta and Dihang River is known as Assam Himalayas. There are regional names also in this broad categories. The Brahmaputra marks the easternmost boundary of Himalayas. Beyond the Dihang Gorge, the Himalayas bend sharply to the south and spreads along the eastern boundary of India. They are also known as Purvanchal or Eastern Hills and Mountains. These hills are running through the northeastern states are mostly composed of strong sandstones, which are the sedimentary rocks. Covered with a dense forest, they run as parallel ranges and valleys. The Purvanchal comprises of the Patkai Hills, the Naha Hills, the Manipur Hills, and the Mizo Hills. The Northern Plains. The Northern Plains has been formed by the interplay of three major river systems, namely the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra, along with their tributaries. This plains is formed of alluvial soil. The deposition of alluvium in the vast basin lying at the foothills of Himalayas over the millions of years formed these fertile plains. Instead of an area of 7 lakh kilometers, the plain being about 2400 kilometers long and 240 to 320 kilometers wide is a densely populated physiological division, which is a rich soil coverage combined with adequate water supply and favorable climate. It is an agriculturally a productive part of India. The rivers coming from Himalayan mountains are involved in depositional works. In the lower course, due to gentle slope, the velocity of river decreases with a result of formation of a riverine islands. So, Majuli in Brahmaputra river is the largest inhabited riverine island in the world. The river is in the lower course splits into numerous channels due to deposition of silt. These channels are known as distributaries. The northern plains is broadly divided into three sections. The western part of northern plains is referred to as Punjab Himalayas, formed by the Indus and the tributaries. The larger part of this plains lies in Pakistan. The Indus and its tributaries, the Jhelum, the Chenab, the Ravi, the Bias, the Satluj, originate in Himalayas. So this section of the plain is dominated by Doab. So Doab is made of two words, do meaning two and ab, the meaning water. Similarly, Punjab is also made of two words, punch meaning five and ab meaning water. The Ganga plain extends between Ghaggar and Tista river. It is spread over North India in Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar and partly Jharkhand and West Bengal. In the east, it is in Assam like the Brahmaputra plain. The northern plains are generally described as a flatland with no variation in its relief. It is not true. The vast plains also have a diverse relief features. According to the variation in the relief features, The northern plains can be divided into four regions. The river, after descending from the mountains, deposits pebbles in the narrow belt of about 8 to 16 kilometers in width, lying parallel to the slope of Shivalix. It is known as the Baba. Also, the streams disappearing in the Baba belt. South of the belt, these streams and the rivers re-emerge and create a wet, swampy and marshy region known as the Rai. This was a thickly forested region full of wildlife. The forests have been cleared to create agricultural land and to settle migrants from Pakistan after partition. The largest part of the northern plain is formed of older alluvium. It lies above the floodplains of the rivers and presents in terrace-like features. This part is known as Banga. The soil in the region contains calcareous deposits, locally known as Kanka. The young deposits of the floodplains are known as Khada. It is renewed almost every year and so they are fertile. This is ideal for intense agriculture. The Peninsula Plateau. The Peninsula Plateau is a tableland composed of old crystalline, igneous, and metamorphic rocks. It is formed due to the breaking and drifting of Gondwana land and thus making it a part of oldest landmass. The plateau has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills. This plateau consists of two broad divisions, namely the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. The part of a peninsula plateau lying to the north of Narmada Valley, covering a major area of the Malwa Plateau, is called Central Highlands. The Vindhya Ranges is bounded by the Satpura Ranges on the south and the Aravalli in northwest. The further westward extension gradually merges with the sandy and rocky deserts of Rajasthan. The flow of rivers draining in the region, namely Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa, the Ken, is from the southwest to the northeast, thus indicating the slope. The central highlands are wider in the west but narrower in the east. The eastward extension of the plateau is locally called as Bundelkhand or the Bahalkhand. The Chota Nagpur Plateau marks the further eastward extension, drained by Damodar River. The Deccan Plateau is a triangular landmass that lies in the south of the river Narmada. The Satpura Ranges flanks its broad bases in the north, while Mahadev, the Kaimu Hills, and the Mekal Hills from the eastern extensions. The Deccan Plateau is higher in the west and slopes generally eastwards. The extension of the plateau is also visible in the northeast, locally called known as Meghalaya, Kirby Angal Plateau, and the northern Kakar Hills. It is separated by a fault from the Chotanagpur Plateau. Three predominant hills from the west to the east are the Garo, the Khasi, the Jayansha Hills. The Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats mark the western and the eastern edges of the Deccan Plateau respectively. The Western Ghats lie parallel to the west coast. They are continuously and can be crossed through the passes only. So, the Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. Altitude variation is 900 to 1600 meters as against 600 meters in Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats stretches from the Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiris in the south. The Eastern Ghats are continuous and irregular and dissected by rivers draining to the Bay of Bengal. The Western Ghats cause orographic rain by phasing the rain-bearing moist winds to rise along the western slopes of Himalayas. The Western Ghats are known by different local names. The height of the Western Ghats progress increasingly from north to the south. The highest peak is the Arnaimudi, which is with a height of 2695 meters, and the Dotabeta, which is with a height of 2637 meters, and the Mahendragiri 1501 meters is the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats. Sherra Hills, the Jawad Hills, are located in the southwest of the Eastern Ghats. One of the distinct features of the Peninsula Plateau is the black soil area known as Deccan Trap. This is a volcanic origin, hence the rock or igneous. Actually, these rocks are denuded over the time and are responsible for the formation of black soil. The Arvali Hills lies on the western and the northwestern margin of Peninsula Plateau. They are highly eroded hills and are found as broken hills. They extend from the Gujarat to Delhi in the southwest northeast direction. The Indian Desert lies towards the western margin of Arvali Hills. It is undulating sand plains covered with the sand dunes. This region receives a very low rainfall below 150 millimeter per year. It has arid climate with a low vegetation covers. Streams appear due to rainy seasons. Soon after they disappear into sand as they do not have enough water to reach the sea. Luni is the only river in the region. More prominent than the Indo-Pakistan boundary. So, the coastal plain. The Peninsula Plateau is flanked with a stretch of narrow coastal slips running along the Arabian and the west on the west and the Bay of Bengal in the east. The western coast, sandwiched between the Western Ghat and the Arabian Sea, is a narrow plain. It consists of three sections. The northern coast of part of the coast is called Kongan, that is between Mumbai and Goa. The central stretch is called Kannad Plains, while the southern stretch is called Malabar Plains. The plains along the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. In the northern part, it is referred to as Northern Sirkar, while the southern part is called Coromandel Coast. The large rivers such as the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, the Kaveri are formed extensive delta on the coast. The Lake Chilka is an important feature along the east coast. The Chilka Lake is the largest saltwater lake in India. It lies in the state of Odisha to the south of Mahanadi Delta, the island. You have already seen that India has a vast mainland. Besides this, the country has two groups of islands. This group of islands is composed of a small coral island. Earlier, they are known as Lakadiv, Minikoi, Aminavidi, that is the Lakshadweep Island. In 1973, these were named as Lakshadweep. It covers a small area of 32 square kilometers. Kavaratti Island is the administrative headquarters of Lakshadweep. This island group have great diversity of the fauna and the flora. The Pitti Island, which is uninhabited of, has a birds sanctuary. Short note on corals. Coral polyps are short-lived microscopic organisms which live in colonies. They flourish in shallow, mud-free and warm waters. They secrete calcium carbonate. The coral secretion and the skeletons from the coral deposits is a form of a reef. They are mainly of three kinds: barrier reef, the fringe reefs and atolls. The Great Barrier Reef of Australia is a good example of the first kind of coral reef. Atolls are circular or horseshoe shaped coral reefs. Now you can see the elongated chain of islands located in the Bay of Bengal extending from the north to south. From there, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. They are the bigger in size and are more numerously and scattered. The entire group of islands is divided into two broad categories: the island, the Andaman in the north, and the Nicobar in the south. It is believed that these islands are an elevated portion of the submarine mountains. These island groups are of a great strategical importance for the country. There is a great division of the fauna and flora in this group of islands too. These islands are lie closer to the equator and experience equatorial climate and has a thick forest. So that is the boxed content. India has an active volcano is found on the barren island in Andaman and Nicobar group of islands. A detailed account of a different physiographic units highlights the unique features of this region. It would, however, be clear that each region complements each other and makes the country richer in its natural group. The mountains are the major source of water and forest wealth. The northern plains in the granaries of the country. They provide the base for the early civilization. The plateau is a storehouse of minerals, which has played a crucial role in the industrialization of the country. The coastal region and the island groups provide the sites for the fishing and port activities. Thus, the diverse physical features of the land has immense future possibilities of the development. And that's it, buddies. Thanks.
Thanks for watching the video. Do like, share, comment and subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more notifications.